All right, the Under Armour Project Rock 7. This has been my favorite Project Rock model to date, so much so that I wanted to actually cut mine open to see what was inside. Let's take a closer look at the construction of this shoe. All right, so now let's dissect this baby, and gosh, that never gets old being able to split these open. Now, I will say, I cut this with a saw. My air saw setup was not working, and we did the old-fashioned way. So if you're noticing a little bit of like a discrepancy in the cuts here, it's because your man cut it with his own bare hands with the saw, so it's not gonna be the cleanest cut in the game. But all that to say, let's take a look at the midsole first. So we have the hover midsole in this shoe. This material walks that fine line between being stable, but then also having some responsiveness. So as you can see, it does compress, but it doesn't have a ton of compression to it regarding just total plushness. This is what I would describe as a more medium density midsole regarding its fit and feel. Back here in the heel, it is a lot more thick, and that's what gives this shoe its more like beefy heel and its higher heel to toe drop. Looking at the outsole construction, so the rubber in this shoe is pretty thick as well, and so that's why I kind of like this shoe for training outdoors and outdoor wear. We do have some breaks here, which you should be conscious of, but regarding just density of rubber, this rubber is thick, and so I don't think it's going to break down super fast or have any wear or tread issues either, so I do like that with this model. And looking at the tri-base tech here, so this tri-base tech is basically this triangle. Under Armour uses it in a lot of their shoes. It's designed to give you more midfoot support and stability. And when looking at this, I found this really interesting, but there are actually little air pockets throughout this tri-base tech here. So that makes a lot of sense in the sense that if this is designed to give you a bit more stability, there is a bit of compression there to really allow that foot to compress, or at least the arch to stabilize when you're training. So I thought that was a pretty cool feature that I actually didn't realize Under Armour implemented into the tri-base tech of their shoes. So super cool feature in shoe tech there. Looking at the upper of this model, so we have that clone upper, and so the upper of this shoe has a few layers to it. So we have this internal mesh layer here that has a bit more breathability, and then we have that clone upper. This clone upper doesn't have that same degree of ventilation. So as you can see, you can't even see my finger through this, even though it's stretched out. And I think that's what gives this shoe its nice sock-like fit. A lot of folks tend to love the clone upper, like myself, because it hugs the foot really well and it locks the foot down when training. And it gives this slightly thicker midsole a bit more flexibility because it locks the foot down so well. It gives this model a little bit more of means to bend with the foot. Looking at the boot construction, this is a change from the Project Rock 6. We have a booty style construction here, so there is no separate tongue, and I honestly love that for this shoe. Its security is pretty good, and it has enough stretch, I think, to accommodate a lot of different foot thicknesses, and that's also a good thing with this shoe. It kind of reminds me of that Project Rock 2 feel regarding that midfoot and boot construction. Looking back here at the boot itself, we have that added heel counter back here, so I tried to cut this a little bit more internally. I definitely didn't mess this up. I definitely messed it up, folks. But we have a lot more padding here, so as you can see, we have a nice amount of cushion there to really lock that boot down. And then we also have a pretty rigid boot cup here. So as you can see, you can't really bend this that easily. You have this like TPU rubber overlay to lock that boot down as well. And so I like this feature. And the stitching of it is pretty solid. I was always kind of conscious of how well this was stitched together, but overall the stitching here, locking down the base of this material, it's pretty good. Now the heel here does have an adhesive to it, but I have to really pull and fight to get this off, and I don't think that's going to be an issue when you're obviously not cutting your shoe in half. But overall, I think those are the big features to note with the Project Rock 7. It was really cool getting to cut this shoe open and see if it's worth the price point, look at some of the tech, but if you have any additional questions on the construction features of this shoe, check out my individual review or drop a comment down below. All right, y'all, that wraps up this Under Armour Project Rock 7 inside look. If you have additional questions on this model, I would highly suggest checking out my review. That is once again going to be linked down below in the description. But if you have questions on this model as well, in the meantime, feel free to drop a comment down below or reach out to me personally, whichever you prefer. And as always, y'all, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next one.